thing I did see was that Kings Royal is a 2-day event, and for the Outlaws, that is. And then the prior 2 days that were kind of like an Outlaw Joker's Wild mixed with historical big one this past year, I'm hearing unprecedented sprint car race is planned for that 2-day deal. Is what you're speaking about anything along those lines, or are you talking about something else completely?
Well, I guess if you're under the assumption that because I drive for Tony Stewart that
I'm just guessing
information at Eldora. Yeah, I know you're guessing, which is fine. That's what most people do. I don't have any information on what's happening at Eldora, but I can tell you that if I'm looking at the schedule, and I just looked at it today because it came out, or they released one today, I seen it, and I went to put it in my calendar, and I seen the same thing. So I don't know what that's about. How do you know it's not a World of Outlaw thing? Maybe the World of Outlaws has got something else going on, or I honestly don't know. I wish I had an answer to that, but I unfortunately do not have an answer to that.
So what?
But there are a lot of things going on in the racing world, and there's probably a lot more of them that we can't talk about, or I'm not going to talk about because I'd probably get in trouble as a lot of these conversations that are had are, guys, we don't do ourselves any good by letting any of this information out because there's nothing really solid and concrete as to what you can say. So, like I said, I didn't really pay much attention to what was going on until the last 48 hours. And believe me, there's been a lot of things I've been in shock of. So I guess time will tell that. I wish I could give you some more insight or information into it, but unfortunately, I'm kind of a man of my word, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag.
Well, good for the sport, bad for the sport. Any kind of details? What do you think of the information you received? Is it good?
Chaz, believe me, there can be a lot of bad come out of it. I think the problem that happens is anytime anybody hears of something different, new, or change, they look at it from the perspective that it can't be any worse than it is. And I can tell you this, it can be. I remember sitting back in a meeting back in, whatever it was, when Ted Johnson was selling out the World of Outlaws, and there was an ownership meeting in Knoxville, and I recall a guy who I raced with, and I don't want to call anyone out directly, but I remember a guy sitting at the table just preaching that it can't be any worse than Ted Johnson, so we need to just go with this. And I can tell you that to this day, them words that were spoken will never leave my head because it turned out to not be true. You know what I mean? So anytime people think the grass is greener, it doesn't always end up being the case, although there are times when it does. So, that's just actions and consequences. That's the way the world turns. And so I think there's opportunity for there to be a lot of positivity and a lot of good things, but there's also that where you could set racing back, you could set sprint car racing back, everybody could be shooting himself in the foot. You just never know.
So I think with not only, obviously this high limit situation and a lot of things socially that a lot of people have recently within the last 6 months, 7 months, probably a year or so, has started realizing how different series to teams to drivers really are. You say you're still confused on what is happening next year. Has there been any developments with high limit outlaw stuff? What's been transpiring in this whole ordeal? I feel like we're in a limbo period, really, on figuring out what outside of the schedule what the outlaws are going to be next year.
Yeah. But you can sit and look back at this, Chaz, and if you take, what's today's date? 11/30. Yeah, today's my dad's birthday.
Really?
November 30th. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you questions. So let's go back to November 30th of 2021, 2020, 2019. Was there ever any commitment from anyone in any series on those dates?
More
No.
than likely, no. It's never been paid attention
No,
to, really, either.
There's never been any attention paid to it. So now there's people paying attention to things because they're hearing things, and I guess that's just the nature of the beast. I guess when there's no racing going on, that's what people like to do, is have something to talk about. And so,
well, I mean, in all respects, you're getting.
Can you explain to me what high limits is? I want to hear your explanation.
We have no idea. I mean, I'm saying, like you said, people talk about racing. Obviously, I was about to say, you're hearing things today that you can't tell me. Obviously, has that happened in previous years where you have these types of conversations on November 30th?
No, I can't honestly tell you that I've ever had been in a situation before where a group of drivers and a group of owners were united as a whole on anything. And I've been a part of this 26 years, and I gather that there's a lot of people sitting around the same table talking about the same things. And that's something that I've never seen. I mean, we've heard of this rumblings here and there, but it's pretty interesting to see that there's a lot of people conversing with each other that never did before, and having discussions about things. So it's hard to say. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the direction is. I just know there's a lot of racers and a lot of car owners that are unified right now to do something. I don't know that that's for the good or for the bad, but I'm a driver, just in case you don't know, in this situation. I drive for a very vocal car owner who has interests in a racetrack. He has an interest in a race team. He also has an interest in a regional series. So for me, if they let me put my seat in the car and smash the gas and do what I love to do, well, then I'm pretty lucky.
Well, it sounds like you kind of just hinted there to, like, there's a lot of like you were saying, a lot of prominent teams and drivers willing to almost make a choice on something as a unit.
Yeah, I guess you could probably word it that way, even though maybe that's not the case. But I guess anytime I don't know that we've come to that choice thing. I just I sit back and listen and see what's going on, and I think that you're just seeing guys all try to unify to rectify problems that they all have that are as a whole group. And so whether that means they force someone to make a choice, I don't know that that's the case at all. But I guess that's how you get something done, is you have a group of people and you try to unify and all get on the same page, because that's something that's really never happened, is get a dozen plus race teams on the same page that race together every day and try to do something to, make their product better, or, change their product to a certain way or a certain direction. I've seen it start. I've never seen it actually get to the point that it is today. So I guess I'm in a good spot, to be real honest with you, because if I'm a driver, I don't own a team. Fortunately, these teams there isn't one of them that it really makes sense financially to do. So right. These guys are trying to find a way to make it more viable for themselves, and if they find a way to do it, well, that's what we all strive to do, is be in the best position we can be in and what we choose to do.
One thing I guess I would want to know is, this stuff that no one else can know apparently. What would you think the timeline or time frame would be on, I guess, public knowledge of some of the things that are going on right now? When would be a time frame? Do you think we won't know anything until the first weekend of February, or what is the situation here? Is this some public news type of knowledge? Is it ever something you could see having a story written on it, or what exactly could people anticipate seeing?
Chaz, I really don't know how to answer that.
It sounds like it's pretty serious, whatever's happening.
I'll promise you that. What's happening is very serious. It's very serious. It's very organized. It's but you sit back and believe you me, I wish it was more, but I'm not that guy. Probably shouldn't even say what I'm saying, but it's I've never seen anything get to this position myself in my 26 years, and I was part of the split in 06. And so it's I don't know what else you say. I don't know what the timeline is on things. I don't know that honestly, until you get to the first race, who knows? It's all I can tell you is there's a group of people that they're committed to stick together as a group, and that's as much as really has ever happened in the past. How much further it gets than that? That's not it's way above my pay grade. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are burning the midnight oil, seeing what happens, and it's not me. I'm a driver in this scenario, and I drive for a guy who tells me, if he tells me, hey, we're not going to run the Outlaws this year, or we're going to run the Outlaws, that's what we have to do. I mean, that's what I have to do. So I'm not going to go against the flow. And
when you say flow, that's not no pun intended. You don't mean go against the flow like flow racing.
No, that's no pun intended.
Okay.
No pun intended. What is flow, by the way? That's the streaming series. Sorry. I forgot. Yeah.
That's why I was saying no pun intended. Apparently unprecedented sprint car race. I'm hearing going to be announced on that weekend of Kings Royal, and if outlaw drivers traditionally can't run a non-outlaw race or all the stipulations, it's just like what's happening here. Now you come in here today with this very serious group. Now and you haven't seen it since the split. That kind of people are connecting dots at that point.
I think you misconstrued what I said. I didn't see this serious of a group during the split. So
but what would a split be referenced for if that ain't a similar situation?
I don't know. I referenced the split, but because that's what it was back in 06. That's really what happened. I guess it's just called a split for some reason. I don't think what you're seeing right now is anywhere a split. It's not a split by any means. It's
almost a union, maybe.
Kind of, yeah. A union without having to pay your dues.
Shake a hand, a union, kind of.
So it's got documents attached to it.
Oh wow. Okay.
It wasn't a Joe Biden union because you didn't have to pay to join.
Oh wow.
This is how we ride. This is how we do. Ride mud, sliding up higher.